The first time I remember being molested. My sister was there. My other brother, James, was molesting her. I do remember being very fearful. In that house, there was so much chaos. She would hit our legs until we bled. I remember her breaking the coffee table at one point. We were hungry a lot of times. She took off to go bar hopping. I remember crying, being very fearful, a lot of depression, hating myself because I felt like no one loved me, so why should I love myself? She pulled him off, slapped me, and she told me, "You are worthless. You are no good. You were just made to lie on your back with your legs spread for the men." I became so angry. So much hatred for my mom and for my brothers. From that point on, I made plans that I wasn't going to live there anymore.
Surfer.
My name is Lilly Torres, born in Modesto, California, and I can't really tell you when we moved, but we moved to Fresno. We lived on Belmont Avenue by the Belmont Golf Course. Right now, I'm standing in front of you in an alley that's right behind what used to be Las Palmas. I slept right here by this light pole. When we lived on Belmont, I remember I was a happy girl. We moved to Calawa and we lived on Holloway Street. And that's the first time I remember being molested. I recall being in an alley behind the house we lived in. And my brother, and his name was Raymond, and a neighborhood boy, his name was Jerry Conley, they were molesting me. And my sister was there, and my other brother James was molesting her. And that's the only thing I can remember of that address. But I do remember being very fearful. I was no longer a happy little girl. So from there, we moved to San Pablo, and we were like maybe half a block down from Fresno City College. I went to school there from kindergarten up until half of 4th grade. In that house, there was so much chaos, so much physical abuse from my mother because she was an alcoholic, and when she got drunk, yeah, she was pretty crazy. She used to love to use rosebush switches that had the thorns coming out, and she would hit our legs until we bled. She also pulled hair. She threw things around the house. I remember her breaking a coffee table at one point. She was so drunk and violent. When I went to school, I recall being very withdrawn, very quiet. When recess came, I would sit out on a bench in the playground, and bullies would come up to me and they would pick on me. They would call me names. They would pull my hair. They were very hurtful, and I just remember I would just sit there and cry. I met a girl, her name was Gracie Tarango. She was a really nice person, and when she would see the bullies attacking me, she would come and she would push them away from me, and she would say, "Why don't you pick on me?" They would leave me alone. It was only when Gracie wasn't there that they would pick on me. I had a teenage brother named Jerry, and he was always getting in trouble with the law. One day he went to the corner store and he broke in and he stole food, put it in a box and brought it home and set it in the garage. We were hungry a lot of times. When we got up in the morning and my oldest brother said, "Hey, there's food out here," we all, the youngest ones, ran out there. We're grabbing candy and chips and all kinds of stuff. My mom saw it and she said, "Oh, put that all back." She called the store. She wanted to know if there was a break-in. The owner said yes, and she said, "My son stole it and I'm gonna bring it back to you." There was another time that my mom she was on welfare.
Because mothers travel up to 4 hours a day to work in downtown office buildings or suburban homes, their children are left to care for each other or for themselves.
She had just got her check. She took off to go bar hopping. And my brother, my teenage brother, he had a 10-speed bike. He got on it. He rode from bar to bar. He finally found her, got money from her, bought food for us younger ones and brought it to us so we could eat because we were very hungry. Being very fearful. There was a lot of fear, a lot of depression, just hating myself because I felt like no one loved me, so why should I love myself? There was another time that my sister had gotten married, but a few years later she came back with her son, her oldest. I remember hearing screaming one day, so I opened the front door and I'm standing in the doorway. I see my sister's ex-husband and he's beating her up. And he's trying to take the little boy and she's holding him back, holding the little boy back. The little boy's like in between them. He started beating her up, really beating on her. And then my mom rushed out and tried to pull him off of her. He started beating up my mom. And so they both got pushed to the ground and he's socking them. And I'm just standing in the doorway and I'm crying. I'm hysterical. I went hysterical. I really did. He took my nephew and he got in the car and he drove away. And I never really seen my nephew for quite a few years. He was an adult by the time I seen him again. One day my mom, she found my brother. She walked into the room and she found my brother on top of me. She pulled him off and made him get out of the room. She slapped me and she told me, "You are worthless. You are no good. You were just made to lie on your back with your legs spread for the men." After that, yes, I felt like she was right. That's my mom. Why would my mom lie to me? She was right. You know, I'm no good. I'm worthless. I'm no good for nothing but to be lying on my back with my legs spread for the men. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 says, "I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart, and I appointed you as my prophet to the nations."
All right, right now I'm with Lilly. Lilly, you were sharing your story and you talked about experiencing sexual abuse as a child. What could you tell somebody who's currently going through that experience?
What I believe is the most important thing is that you tell someone. My mother used to say, "Don't air your dirty laundry." And she used to say, "Keep our business to yourself. Don't tell anyone." If your mother or your father is telling you that, don't believe it. Don't believe the lie. You need to get help. You need to go to a teacher or a principal or some adult that you trust. You need to let them know because it needs to end. I would have saved myself a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, a lot of abuse if I had done that. And I believe that's the most important thing that you can do. From there, my mom had to move because she was buying the house and they were going to tear down all the houses on San Pablo and bring the fence of Heaton School out to the sidewalk. So we had to move. We went to Kingsburg first. And I remember at Kingsburg, I went to a little school there. I think it was called Little London. There was bullies there too. This time I didn't have my friend Gracie to protect me. So that's where I learned to fight. I started fighting back. I got beat up a lot, but I also beat people up. Me and my brother Jerry, he was already married by that time to his wife Gloria. They were living with us in the house. Jerry, my mom, and I was gonna go to the grocery store to buy food. Gloria was supposed to stay there and watch my sister Letha. But my older brothers, the molesters, they were there as well. So we went to the store, and when we came back, my mom went straight to the kitchen, but me and my brother Jerry stayed in the living room. Gloria said to Jerry in front of me, "Raymond's upstairs and he's having sex with Letha." As soon as she said that, my brother just ran up the stairs. Next thing I know, I can hear pounding, fist against skin, and screaming. And my mom ran up there. She stopped the fight, but guess what she did? She kicked out my brother, the one who was trying to protect my sister, and the one who was doing the sexual abuse got to stay. From that point on, I became so angry. so angry, so much hatred. I could feel it in me. So much hatred for my mom and for my brothers. From that point on, I made plans that I wasn't going to live there anymore.